At first, it was just a silver car I saw 3 times in one morning. Then came the strange letters with no return address. I thought I was losing my mind, but the truth turned out to be far worse than any paranoia. My nightmare had been paid for from our family budget. I was standing beside a silver sedan in a grocery store parking lot with another man's blood drying on my knuckles. His phone was on the pavement between us. The screen was still lit. There was a thread of messages from my wife. The top one had arrived less than a minute earlier. Asterisk, don't tell him about Ethan. Asterisk. I remember staring at that name. Not because I knew an Ethan. Because I didn't. The parking lot lights buzzed overhead. Shopping carts rattled somewhere behind me. A cold wind pushed a plastic bag across the asphalt and wrapped it around my ankle. The man on the ground was holding his ribs. I wasn't looking at him. I was looking at my wife's contact photo on his screen. Then I looked at the timestamp. 3 minutes earlier, she had texted me that she was home in bed with a migraine. I remember thinking one thing. Who the hell was Ethan? I didn't realize something was wrong at first. 3 months earlier, life felt ordinary in the way most marriages feel ordinary after 11 years. I worked as a project manager for a commercial construction company outside Denver. Long days, site visits, coffee that sat too long in paper cups, traffic on I-25. My wife Sarah worked remotely in marketing. Our house sat at the end of a quiet suburban street with identical mailboxes and trimmed lawns. Nothing dramatic, nothing unstable. The first thing I noticed was a silver sedan parked outside my office. Not because it looked suspicious, because I saw it again, then again. 3 times in one morning. Same dent near the rear bumper. Same cracked sticker on the windshield. I told myself I was imagining patterns. People see familiar cars all the time. A week later, I was sitting in a cafe after work. The place smelled like burnt espresso and cinnamon syrup. Rain tapped against the windows. My phone vibrated. Unknown number. A photo. Just a photo. Me, sitting where I already was. Taken through the cafe window. My coffee cup sat in front of me in the picture. Steam was still coming off it. I turned around so fast my chair scraped against the floor. Nothing. Just wet sidewalks and headlights moving through rain. When I showed Sarah later, she looked concerned at first, then confused, then almost amused. She thought stress was catching up with me. I wanted to believe that. I really did. But 2 nights later I woke up around 2 in the morning. I heard floorboards creaking downstairs. Slow. Measured. I walked through the house with my heart punching against my ribs. The refrigerator hummed. The air conditioning clicked on. No one was there. But near the front door I found mud on the hardwood floor. Small wet footprints. Size 11 maybe. Not mine. The photos kept coming. Not every day. Just enough to make me wait for them. Me filling my truck at a gas station. Me walking into work. Me sitting in my car. Always from a distance. Always from angles that felt personal. Then the notes started. Folded paper under windshield wipers. No threats. Just strange sentences. Asterisk, routine makes people careless. Asterisk. Asterisk, you still look over your right shoulder first. Asterisk. Asterisk, some habits don't change. Asterisk. That last one bothered me. Because it was true. I did look right first. Always. I picked up the habit years ago after getting hit by a cyclist. Sarah began acting differently too. Not colder. More interested. She kept asking odd questions. Questions that didn't fit fear. Questions about whether I had old girlfriends. Whether anyone still contacted me. Whether there was something I hadn't told her. The questions felt casual. But they repeated. I started checking our security cameras. Nothing. Then I checked location history on my phone. Nothing unusual. Then bank statements. I don't know why I checked those. Maybe because paranoia starts reaching into random corners. I found small withdrawals. Cash payments. $300. $400. $600. Every couple of weeks. Sarah handled most household finances. The expenses were labeled vaguely. Consulting. Services. Nothing specific. I told myself there had to be explanations. Then one afternoon I walked back to my truck after work. There was a photograph taped to the windshield. Not me this time. Sarah, standing outside our house, taken at night. He felt cold immediately. Because Sarah wasn't facing the camera. She was facing our bedroom window, looking inside. That was the point where fear changed shape. I stopped thinking someone was after me. I started thinking someone was after us. I hired a private investigator. I didn't tell Sarah. The investigator worked fast. Within days he found the silver sedan. Registered to a man named Daniel Mercer. Former military. Private surveillance work. Low profile. Mostly domestic cases. I remember sitting in the investigator's office. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The smell of stale coffee. He slid photos across his desk. Daniel outside my office. Daniel near my gym. Daniel at the grocery store. Daniel watching our house. Then came the last photo. Daniel meeting Sarah outside a shopping center. Handing her an envelope. I remember feeling strange relief. Actual relief. Because suddenly reality made sense. My wife hired someone. She thought I was cheating. The questions. The payments. Everything fit. It hurt. But pain felt better than confusion. Confusion keeps moving. Pain stays still. I went home and sat in the kitchen for nearly an hour. The refrigerator hummed behind me. Ice shifted inside the freezer. I stared at our wedding photo. Sarah smiling. Her hand on my shoulder. 11 years. Destroyed because she couldn't trust me. I thought I understood everything. I was wrong. I decided to confront Daniel first, not Sarah. I wanted proof. I followed him for 2 days. The second night he stopped at a grocery store parking lot. I parked across from him. Rain had started again. Small drops tapping against the windshield. He stayed inside his car, waiting. Then he looked directly at me. Not surprised. Waiting. I walked over. Things escalated fast after that. Anger does that. Then his phone hit the pavement. And I saw my wife's messages. Asterisk push harder. Asterisk. Asterisk. See if he calls Ashley. Asterisk. Asterisk increase pressure. Asterisk. Ashley. My ex-girlfriend from college. I understood immediately. This was a loyalty test. Sarah wanted to see whether fear would drive me toward another woman. Whether I'd seek comfort somewhere else. I almost laughed. 3 months. 3 months of panic because my wife wanted certainty. Then I saw the newer messages. Different tone. Different purpose. Asterisk, don't let him remember Ethan. Asterisk. Asterisk. If he asks questions, redirect him. Asterisk. Asterisk. He's getting close. Asterisk. My stomach dropped. I grabbed Daniel's phone. I started scrolling. Dozens of photos. Dozens. Not recent. Years old. Me outside apartments I didn't recognize. Me entering buildings in different cities. Dates going back nearly 8 years. Then videos. One video showed me hugging a woman outside a hotel. Not Ashley. Someone else. I stared at it. Because I had absolutely no memory of it. Then I saw the timestamp. 7 years earlier. I felt something open inside my chest. Not emotionally. Physically. Like missing a step in the dark. Because I recognized the hotel. I had been there. I remembered the conference. I remembered everything around it. But not her. Not the woman. Not the video. Nothing. Daniel finally told me everything. Not because he wanted to. Because I think he realized he wasn't being paid enough anymore. Sarah hadn't hired him 3 months earlier. She hired him 8 years earlier. The stalking wasn't a test. The test story was a cover. The first twist was simple. 8 years earlier I had an affair. Not one mistake. Not one night. Almost a year. The woman was named Emily. Sarah found out. She collapsed afterward. Not publicly. Quietly. Privately. She stayed. She told me she forgave me. But she never did. Instead, she built a system. She tracked me. Watched me. Recorded me. Monitored every routine. Every contact. Every trip. Daniel wasn't following me to see whether I would cheat. He was following me because Sarah needed proof I had stopped. 8 years. 8 years of surveillance. I sat there thinking that was the whole truth. Then Daniel looked at me strangely, like he expected a different reaction. Then he showed me one final thing. Medical records, neurology reports, medication history, my name, my signature. 6 years earlier. Head injury after a highway accident. Temporary memory impairment. Selective gaps. Sarah already knew that. She knew I had forgotten large parts of that year. She knew I didn't remember Emily. She knew because I had already found out once. 2 years earlier, I had discovered everything. The affair, the surveillance, all of it. I confronted Sarah. I threatened divorce. I threatened to expose everything. Then I hit my head again during the argument. Minor concussion. Afterward, my memory fractured around the same period. Sarah decided not to tell me. She let me forget. She said she wanted peace. She told Daniel to keep watching, to make sure I never became that version of myself again. I went home that night. Sarah was asleep upstairs, or pretending to be. I stood in the hallway listening to the air conditioning moving through the vents, listening to the floor settle, looking at framed photographs on the wall. I realized something I should have understood much earlier. I wasn't hunting a stalker. I was investigating a crime scene. My own life had already happened.